Hey there, my friends. It's Bill McDonald, the reading and writing doctor. Welcome to Meaningful Modeling Methods and Materials in 10 minutes or less. Now, I know I promised you for lesson 11 that we were going to get into how to edit the extensive essay and how to make the connections between the difference between modeling, editing for the essay when you're done writing it, and to make that connection to the 5 steps that are required for editing the 2 passages, the 8 questions that you elementary teachers are going to get in 2 passages, the around 9 questions you middle school teachers will receive, and around 11 editing questions that you high school teachers are going to receive. And they all follow the same rules. It's just that each grade level takes the level of the passages to a little higher notch. And for many secondary, some of the punctuation questions, such as colons and semicolons, and some pretty complex and compound sentences are asked of secondary students that are not asked of elementary. But the rules of punctuation are still the same. For commas and colons, semicolons, apostrophes and contractions, as well as quotations, you're slowing the sentence down. And for periods, exclamations, and question marks, you're stopping it. That's all there is to it. I'll get into that. But I had a teacher that was messaging me saying that she was working on extended essay with her students. And in fact, I'm going to be doing a lesson on that with some students on Wednesday in San Antonio. And the question is going to focus on theme. That's going to be what we're going to call the topic. So to keep my lesson at 10 minutes or less, like I promised, once I start the lesson, I set my timer. So here's my timer, 10 minutes. I got it going now. So as soon as the timer goes off, I have to try and wrap up the lesson within 30 seconds to a minute. Okay. So if you have any questions, make sure you email me at the address there in the upper right-hand corner, writing_doctor@yahoo.com. So theme, here is a way, not the way, to teach theme. Okay. First of all, think of Wonder Woman. And for those of you who have the graphic organizer, the trains, you can train your students how to think horizontally using the train. And as I mentioned in one of my posts, Victoria Young says, you're teaching development. It's trying to get your students to understand you don't want a quantity of trains. You want a quantity of sentences, and such as boxes. How many sentences are you putting in each box, in each idea, in each example that you're explaining? So the focus, the purpose, what Wonder Woman, what Wonder Woman is the purpose. It's going to be the informative expository essay. And that's only going to happen once for all of you from 3rd through 10th grade. And you can get a 1 to a 5. It'll have 5 bullets on how to get a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5. Okay. When it's on expository or opinion argumentative prompt or topic, it's going to be written in the form of a statement, and it's going to have a prompt, which you might also call uh, a topic. Okay. So if your students have a struggle with the word theme or message, it's usually because they don't have the endurance. You can see lots of E's in theme and message to make it through the entire passage to find out what the theme is. So here's a way that some of you can use the trains. Hopefully you laminated them by now. So the word theme starts with a T. I highly suggest that you teach your students to look at the title. If you look at me in the corner, at the top of the passage is a title. And a lot of times the title helps you understand the topic. So it's very important that your kids take a close look at the title and the topic. Okay. A couple other important letters. We'll talk about the H at the end. Is the E is there's usually when there's a theme or a message, there's usually some sort of event or experience. Okay. So you've got to figure out what that event or experience is. And it could be in a play, it could be in a poem, a fictional story, and sometimes even literary nonfiction can have something like a message that is something that we can all learn uh, from it. And hopefully, the age part there, we can age mentally and emotionally because of something specific that happens, an action that happens during that passage, during that poem, that story. So the other letter that you see here is an M in theme and the M in message. So if you think of uh, after title and topic, if your students that struggle with reading can at least read the introduction, TI, then that'll get them an idea about who are the people and what is going on, where are they at, and the M, and this is where most kids struggle in the middle and in the ending, because unless your kids can make it to the middle and the ending, they're going to struggle with what the theme or the message is from whatever it is they're reading. And so a lot of you talk about in a story, and it can happen in a poem or a play too. There's something that you guys call rising, falling, and that's all going to be taking place in the middle of the story. Rising and falling what? Rising action, falling action. And just like life is a roller coaster, having some up and down experiences that affect us, that affect our emotions, and the experience sometimes changes us and helps us become better, hopefully. Somewhere in the middle of all of that rising and falling action, there's going to be a climax that the character or characters are at the highest point, the peak of the story, the play. And so it could be a problem, it could be a process, it could be some sort of discovery. And I have a whole page just for plot. Okay. But I want to focus just on the word theme and message for today's lesson because I want to keep the video short. So by the time that I get to the rising, falling action past the climax, I'm going to determine the ending. How does the story end? What exactly happens to the characters or the character, the main character especially? And so this is where the H of theme is going to come into play based on something specific that happened to the characters, the experience. What word comes to your mind? And so, for those of you who have the mini binder, digital or hard copy, go to page 27 of the binder, and you're going to see about maybe 50 or 60 words that are theme based, things that are character based traits that could become themes. But because kids struggle with writing, you're going to teach them what word on the theme based page comes to your mind, or there's a few pages right before it and after it that talk about state of being and state of mind, the the feelings and the emotions of the characters. Wherever they're at the end of the story, hopefully a word will come to their mind. Step one. Step two, can you think of a phrase that you can use to add to that word and say, oh, this is basically what I think the message or the theme was? Having patience no matter what, not giving up. Those are phrases. Being kind no matter what other people do or say. Those are phrases. And so then step three, how can you put that word or phrase into a complete sentence? Because in order to write an essay, an informative expository essay based on a theme that you can gather, you've got to be able to make it through the middle and the ending, understand the title and its topic, and you'll be able to come up with something that's in the first bullet is called the central idea statement for the elementary, the controlling idea statement for middle school, and the thesis statement for high school. And then you'll be able to use the body of the essay to say, I'm going to show you evidence of that theme that I came up with based on what I saw in the middle, rising, falling action, and how the story ends. And because the topic mentioned the word theme, your kids have to understand theme is going to be a question about an entire passage, that you can't just read the introduction, you can't just read the middle, you've got to read to the end. And so that's why I've been telling many of you that it's very hard to ask questions about an entire passage that require your students to write an entire essay. Because some of your kids don't know what the word theme means. Some of your kids, when they get to page 27 of the binder, won't know what half of those words mean. So you're going to have to teach them some of those words, or teach them how to go to the dictionary or the thesaurus and say, what word comes to my mind, so that I can use maybe a little bit higher word, so you can climb what I call the vocabulary ladder and use one that's appropriate for you. So that's my idea on themes for essays. Go ahead and like this video on Facebook, please. Share it or tag one of your teacher friends. Go ahead and like it on the YouTube and click subscribe, so that when I do upload one, you'll be able to uh, be notified that I sent one. Uh, Thank you for that teacher who asked the question about some ideas to help students understand theme. Hopefully, some of these ideas helped you, and um, God bless each and every one of you. As a person of faith, I'm praying for you for strength, for wisdom, for perseverance, that you don't give up. Let that be your theme, regardless of how difficult things get. Do not grow weary in doing well, for in due season you're going to reap a harvest if you don't faint and give up. So God bless you guys and have a good night.